Hi, my name is Terry Ashford, and I was just barred from the library. First of all, let's get this camera setting right here. We don't know exactly where the lens is on this particular camera. So, we're not even looking into the camera. We're trying to look. Let's assume that's the lens right there. All right, let us go ahead and rock this. I'm Terry Ashford, and I'm bringing it to you live here from Washington, D.C., the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, where they call the DMV, the District of Columbia, State of Maryland, and the State of Virginia. Well, I'm Terry Ashford, and I just got barred from the Shepard Park Library. For what? We don't know what their justification, what their reasons are. One, we do know that we have not spoken or said 2 words to anyone to have caused a barring. We also know, too, the recent barring was because of censorship of reporting information and crimes from the journalistic profession that Terry Dwayne Ashford is a part of. Well, I'm Terry Dwayne Ashford himself. So I just wanted to share with you that Terry Dwayne Ashford just got barred from the public library called Shepard Park, the library of which he has been reporting on for the last few months. Looks like we've gotten rid of Larry Votes, but we left those people there that was carrying out the crimes. We've already identified what the crimes are. We're not going to go back into that. We're reporting today specifically on the barring of the journalist, which is called censorship. What is censorship? Well, censorship is when a crime has been carried out, when criminals have carried out particular crimes, and then they try to bar someone from seeing it. Well, you can't bar a journalist from seeing it when it's a federal inalienable right to have access to this particular location. And there is something also called the freedom of the press. Just like the District of Columbia have taken the guns out of people's homes. Guns, which is another inalienable right that people have the right to. Guns in the hands of citizens is an inalienable right to protect themselves. DC has taken that out of the hands of the citizens. Now they're taking out of the hands of the citizen the right to have information, the right to have information from the freedom of the press. I'm Terry Ashford. I am the press. For that reason, I was barred from the DC Public Library, Shepard Park branch, because I was reporting on things that they didn't want the public to see. Hosted, we allege, by the manager who was recently placed there in order to carry out this particular ordeal. His name is Brian. We have 2 whiter race men who are carrying out what we allege is sex trafficking using the studio lab of the library there, where the lights are often dark, are kept dark, and black men are brought into that particular location. And if they concede to carry out activities with the 2 whiter men that's managing it, Will, W-I-L-L, we allege, and Casey, C-A-S-E-Y. We also allege if they participate with those 2 men, then they have access to the studio and other things in that library. Well, we are challenging that. We have always challenged that from the federal perspective. Today, that manager who was placed there to carry out that particular activity used a DC police officer under the name of Butler. Butler and I have had exchanges before. I caught Butler chasing whiter race men, particularly Spanish men, at the 7-Eleven right up the street. I went over and I shook Butler's hand amidst his chase. And I looked at him in his eyes. He looked at me in my eyes and I said, "I see you." And he says, And he began to smile. And we began to smile at each other from that point forward. Smile means nothing but professionalism. Well, today, that familiarity was supposed to be used by the whiter race man in the library that is, we allege, is sex trafficking black men in the area. They tried to use Butler to carry out that particular ordeal. Well, we already understand what you do. The fact that you're going to try to use familiarity. Guess what we did? We ceased it. We decided we're not going to accept anything. Right now, we don't have to listen to anything you have to say. Do you have a fucking warrant? You don't have to listen to anything you have to say. But let me tell you what I'm going to do. I walked out. You could chase me if you want. I'm going to chase your ass right up the street. Come on off this goddamn parking lot. And we're going to handle you. Terry Dwayne Ashford here, reported live. We're tired of this motherfucking racism from the niggers. DC is a fucking shithole. On that note, let me also make sure that you understand, you can't force me to be with anyone. Not a woman, not a man, anyone. You have to understand, better yet, you don't have to do a goddamn thing. I have inalienable rights, and I'm going to fucking ensure that I keep them. I don't give a fly fuck what you want. Sorry, it appears that the whiter race man wants my intellectual knowledge. Well, you can't get it unless you go through me. You can't get it from me. You can't take it from me. You can't scare me from it. You can't intimidate. You don't fucking scare me. So we move on in this particular matter. Get your shit together. Have respect. You've made a motherfucking business out of disrespect and betraying people. And the way that they betray people is by going as a result of the barring from the Shepard Park Branch Library in Washington, D.C. Terry Dwayne Ashford wanted to continue to provide you with the information, updated information. Again, all of this information is alleged from the perspective and also from the proof and the evidence that Terry Dwayne Ashford, the journalist, has obtained. Brian, the manager of that library, was placed in that library, supposedly to accost Terry Dwayne Ashford into a relationship which will give them the knowledge of Terry Dwayne Ashford. The Whiteys wants the information or the knowledge in Terry Dwayne Ashford's brains, almost like a damn moving. All of the sneaky little commotion that you're seeing is trying to steal from Terry Dwayne Ashford from his brains. The method was through sex. And that sex was supposed to be brought through Brian, the newly hired manager of that library. They're mad, having failed at giving a black man whiter butt. Well, the black man in this particular case is Terry Dwayne Ashford, and it doesn't happen like that. And that's what we're reporting on today. I'm Terry Ashford, just being barred from the library. The manager was supposed to use familiarity with a man named Officer Butler. Well, what the manager does not understand, that Officer Butler and myself do understand, is that we already knew each other. I'd met Officer Butler at 7-Eleven chasing whiter race men at the library right in front of the soda counter. And Terry Dwayne Ashford walked up to Officer Butler, shook his hand, and whispered, "I see you." And then he informed Officer Butler who he was. I'm a journalist here in the area. And Mr. Butler, as an officer, you should know better. I see you. Now, when issuing this particular barring notice, now let me, Terry Ashford has already stated he has not said two words to anyone. The barring notice was supposed to be issued by Officer Butler, and what came aboard was a Hispanic female officer representing the Hispanic girl behind the counter. The young Hispanic girl behind the counter made falsified calls and created the lies based on will. It's a continuing conspiracy going on. One that is also has gotten rid of Larry votes. But when you get rid of one, you have to get rid of all of them. And that means you have to get rid of Will. You have to get rid of Casey. That means you have to get rid of the officer. Officer Martin was one of them. That means, and from that is where the little Hispanic girl came. I'm Terry Ashford. I'm reporting for you live. Uploading shortly. Terry Dwayne Ashford is a journalist. He's not scared. See, this particular type of commotion would scare a regular person to death. But for a journalist, it's an everyday thing. This is what we do. This is what we were brought on this earth to do, to handle this type of thing for the world. This is crime that you're experiencing. This is criminal behavior that you're experiencing. This was the taking of a job with the anticipation of placing the person they wanted with a white person who would steal from them for the rest of their lives. And it was cult. To your fucking little system here, Terry Dwayne Ashford is reporting. He's reporting for you that he does not trade ass for a job. He does not trade ass for respect. He does not trade ass for inalienable rights that's already granted to him by the Constitution. He does not trade ass or trade relationships, trade sex for those things. That's called prostitution, as if you don't fucking know. Trading ass for me to give me the job that I fucking deserve is prostitution, honky, nigger, wherever in the fuck you are. So we fixing your shit for you, since you don't know how.